From the product variation page for the product created in the last video, click here on product range to go back one step to the product range page. You can now see the product range name and range SKU here, and the single variation that has been created at the bottom. We will now copy this variation to make a new variation. Click here on the grey circle to create a copy. We are then given the option to create a single copy or multiple copies. First, we will click on one copy. This screen then appears. You can change the name of the product if needed for this variation. These are then the variation options for the first product created. You can change any of these option values here by clicking on the drop-down. Please note that the option value must already exist in order to select it here. We will then need to change the SKU. Remove the dash copy at the end, then change the SKU as required. If you've added a barcode, you will also need to change the barcode here. Then we enter the stock level of the new variation. If the price of the new variation is different, we can change it here. We can also click here to copy the supplier and cost price information and enter the supplier SKU for the product if it's different from your own SKU. Then click Next. From the product range page again, we can click the grey circle to copy the product again, and this time select multiple copies. We then need to select which option we need to create multiple variations of. For this product, we will select Colour. At the top, you can change the brand, size, and material of this variation if needed. We then have a list of all option values for the selected, in this case, colour. To select which variations to create, tick the box under the name of each colour. An SKU is automatically generated for each variation based on the SKU of the copied product. This can be changed if needed. The barcode can then be added here for each variation, as can the stock, weights and dimensions, price, VAT rate, and HS code. Once all variations have been selected and the required information has been completed, click Next. We will now create a multi-pack based on the products in this range. Firstly, click here on Add Product. This is adding a new product variation to the existing range. Add the title of the product. For this, we will be creating a multi-pack of 2 of the single variations, so we'll add an X2 to the title. Add an SKU, description, barcode, and HS code if needed. If you do not have a separate barcode for the multi-pack, the single variation barcode can be used when picking and packing the item. However, a barcode may be needed when listing the product. You cannot enter the same barcode from the single variation here, as that is already in use in the system. Then, we will enter the option values. On this page, we will now select Multi-Pack and then click Next. Set the default price for the variation here. We now need to add the single variations which this multipack is comprised of. Click Add Item. We can now browse by range or search for the product variations to add to this multipack. Once we have found the correct range, select the correct variation from the drop-down. And click Yes. We now enter the quantity of this item in the pack here. The proportion of the pack is then how much of the total selling price is allocated to this item. This is used for sales reports. The total for all variations must equal 100%. Once you've added all variations to the pack and set the amounts and proportion percentages, click Next. We can now add the images for the product as before. Finally, the variation summary is shown as before as well. Click Finish. We can now see that this product is a multi-pack here. And the contents of this multi-pack are linked here. If a multi-pack has been created by mistake and should be a single product, we can convert it to a single product here. Similarly, if a product is set as a single product but needs to be a multi-pack, we can convert it to a multi-pack here. Follow the same process for adding the products to the multi-pack as before. This concludes this section. Please complete the tasks below before proceeding to the next course.